Kinect Star Wars. Tell us about it.
Well, Kinect Star Wars is the first Star Wars game that obviously uses Kinect, and it's the first time you can use your full body to play as a Jedi. You can wave your right hand to control a lightsaber, you can control the Force, you can lift enemies and move them around. And then we have different experiences drawn from all 6 of the movies. So we unveiled pod racing at Comic-Con, and then at Gamescom we're unveiling Rancor mode, where you actually play as the monster that Luke fights in Return of the Jedi in Jabba's palace.
Well, obviously enough, we've seen, like you said, it's been various announcements over the course of the year. We've seen the Cloud City fight scene that was, I think, for the E3 sort of demo. And obviously enough, you're saying, so not only across all 6 movies, but a multitude of characters then we're seeing, not just the usual Jedi, Sith, we're actually seeing Rancors and stuff like that. Was the decision based on the options you had with using Kinect, because it fitted that sort of play experience?
Yeah, well, you're going to see different characters from the movies used in ways that are appropriate for those characters. So you won't see Darth Vader fighting the Rancor monster, for example, because that's not in the fiction. So what we've done is tried to find experiences that are well suited for Kinect and allowed us to do things that are different and really fun. You know, we didn't want to replay other games that have been done before. So, for example, with Rancor, you're using your full body to control this big monster. You can jump and roar and smash things and eat people, and it's just a natural for Kinect. So it's a lot of fun to like grab a stormtrooper and throw them and that kind of thing.
And I heard you mention earlier on about the pod racing. It's a case of just using your arms to sort of forward, back, turn, and such like that?
Yeah, we tried to model it after what Anakin actually does in Episode 1. So there's other racers on Kinect, for example, Joyride that we released last year, where you drive like you would a car. Pod racing, you can steer it, like a steering wheel, but it's really optimized to play it like a pod racer. So you have, each hand has a handle, and you control the pod, with your movements back and forth. But then there are other experiences from the movies that are thrown in to add a little bit of variety. So, for example, Womp Rats can jump out and grab your pod, and then you have to throw things at them to get them off there. You'll have sand people shooting at you. And then there's, droids and things like that you can interact with on the track or go by and run over and things like that.
Well, with 6 movies to choose from among a hell of a lot of set pieces, it must be incredibly hard to pick ones to just, have a limit on that number of things you can actually have in the game. Was it hard choosing exactly which ones you wanted?
Yeah, it really, I think, as you said, there's so much to draw from throughout the universe, and we didn't want to just replay the movies. We wanted to give people different experiences. So it was, I think, a great opportunity for the designers to look at this wealth of available content and choose what's really going to work for Kinect in a unique way and make a great, fun experience that is accessible for all Star Wars fans, but then at the same time is very true to what you expect from Star Wars. So it's got the look and feel of the movies, it's got the characters you expect, iconic scenes from the experiences drawn from the movie, things like that. So it's really something that is unique, but also very true to what Star Wars fans want.
And I don't suppose if I mentioned space battles at all, you'd be able to talk about that.
Well, if you saw our E3 trailer, you probably saw a little bit of spaceflight in there. We haven't announced a level per se, but I'd say that we've hinted at it. So it's something we'll be showing coming up in the future.
Okay. And can you just sort of let us know how the structure of the game works? Obviously enough, it's across 6 films, but can players just sort of jump in at any point across those 6, or is there a sort of narrative that they have to play their way through?
In the Jedi mode, there's a story where you start off as a Jedi Padawan, and then you go through different experiences with different Jedi Masters as you become more and more, as you come into your abilities more and more. So there's actually a distinct storyline that takes you through that experience. And then through that experience, you'll get to do different things that we've kind of, as I mentioned, hinted at in our trailer. And then we have distinct modes that take you on a different journey. So pod racing, you start off as a new pod racer, a slave, and you're earning your freedom by becoming the ultimate pod racer in the galaxy. And then Rancor is really just kind of a fun, open environment. There are different Rancors that you'll play on different planets that are actually drawn from the extended fiction. And they each have a setup. There's a kind of a mini story, I'd say, around each Rancor as to why they happen to be out destroying stuff in the environment. So It's set up based on what you're doing in the game, the way it's presented. Some modes are available right up front, but then you'll be able to unlock things that you'll be able to deep dive back into later on.
And as not unfortunately being demoed now, would be a great link, but we saw a 2-player mode there being demoed. Is that a case of across the entire game, or is that for specific scenes or specific modes?
In Jedi mode, it's drop in, drop out. At any point, someone can jump into the game and then wave their hand, and it'll bring that second player in, and then you can play. Pod racing, you select at the start of the race whether you want to play as 1 player or 2 player, and then you can race against the other person. And it's kind of really set up depending on the different mode as to how you interact with it.
And guess last question for yourself personally: Jedi or Sith?
Probably Jedi. I know that's disappointing, but I guess I grew up with the Star Wars, so I have to go light side.
Listen, thank you very much for your time. Looking forward to playing the final thing. Cheers.
Thank you.